The morning sun shone bright on New Harmony, the most peaceful planet in the galaxy. Ambassador Veltar Kress stood tall on the stage, his blue skin glowing under the lights. Behind him, flags from 100 different worlds moved in the gentle breeze. Today was special. Today marked 100 years of peace in the galaxy. My friends, Kress said to the crowd of thousands, we gather here to celebrate our great success. For 100 years we have lived without war. No battles, no fighting, no death from weapons. We did this through talking, through trade, through being smart. The crowd cheered. Aliens from many worlds clapped their hands, tentacles or claws. They were happy. They felt safe. They had forgotten what war looked like. Some old stories talk about helpers in the past. Kress continued. Unknown beings who may have helped us long ago. But we know the truth. We made peace ourselves. Through our own wisdom. Through our own strength. Far away, in a place where no one could see them, Admiral Jiho Park watched this speech on his ship's big screen. He was human. His ship was called the Eternal Dawn. Around him, thousands of other human ships floated in the darkness between galaxies. They had been hiding here for 100 years. Turn it off, Jiho said quietly. A young officer pressed a button and the screen went black. Dr. Mira Kim walked up to stand next to the Admiral. She was also human. Her white coat showed she was a scientist. They really forgot us, she said. Her voice was sad but not surprised. Not forgot, Jiho replied. They chose to forget. There is a difference. On the bridge, other humans worked at their stations. These were not the humans the galaxy once knew. These humans looked stronger. Their eyes were brighter. Their machines were more advanced. 100 years of hiding had made them better. Doctor, Kim held a small device in her hand. It glowed with soft blue light. The quantum phase weapons are ready, she said. They can go through any shield the galaxy has now. Jiho nodded. He had hoped they would never need these weapons. But hope and being ready were different things. Captain Wook Lee walked onto the bridge. His ship had just returned from a long trip. His face looked worried. Admiral, he said, I have news. Bad news. Tell me, Jiho said. The hegemony is back. Everyone on the bridge stopped working. The hegemony was the worst enemy the galaxy had ever known. They had tried to kill or control every living being in space. The humans had fought them long ago and won. But that victory had cost many human lives. How many ships? Dr. Kim asked. More than before, Wook replied. Much more. They have been building and planning while hiding in dark space. They want revenge. Jiho closed his eyes and thought. The galaxy was not ready for war. The species that lived there now had never seen real fighting. Their armies were small and weak. Their weapons were old. They spent their time on art, music, and trade. These were good things, but they would not stop the hegemony. Where will they attack first? Jiho asked. The same place they always start, Wook said. The outer worlds, the ones with fewer people. They will test how strong the galaxy's defenses are. Dr. Kim looked at her device again. We could stop them easily now. Our technology is so much better than what they have. But should we? Asked another officer. They threw us away like trash. They said we were too violent, too dangerous. They made new history books that said we never helped them. Jiho understood the anger. When humans had fought the hegemony before, they had saved billions of lives. But when peace came, the other species became afraid of human strength. They said humans were too warlike, too quick to fight, so the humans had left to find a new home. Look at this, Wook said. He turned on another screen. It showed news from across the galaxy. Happy reports about trade deals, art shows, peace festivals. They think talking will stop the hegemony. They think their peace treaties matter to killers. The screen changed to show something else. It was an old battlefield where humans had fought the hegemony long ago. Now it was a tourist spot. The sign said, Victory of the Coalition Forces. It did not say anything about humans. Coalition forces, Dr. Kim said with a bitter laugh. We were 90% of that coalition. They even changed the battle records, another officer added. Some of them say the hegemony just gave up on their own. Jiho had seen enough. He walked to the big window that showed space. Out there, human ships waited. Ships with weapons that could crack planets. Ships with shields that could stop stars. Ships with engines that could jump between galaxies in seconds. Sir, Wook asked, what are your orders? Before Jiho could answer, alarms started ringing on every ship. The communication officer's face went white. Admiral, emergency signals from the outer rim. The hegemony is attacking. 3 worlds are already falling. On the main screen, they watched as hegemony warships destroyed peaceful space stations. The galaxy's small defense fleets tried to fight back. It was like children fighting tigers. The Veltari Empire is calling for help, the communication officer reported. They are asking any strong species to help them. Any strong species? Dr. Kim asked. Do they remember we exist? Send them a message, Jiho ordered. Tell them humanity is still here. The officer typed quickly and sent the message. They waited. Minutes passed. Then an answer came back. What does it say? Jiho asked. The officer looked embarrassed. They say humans are extinct. They say it must be a fake message from the hegemony trying to give false hope. The bridge became very quiet. Outside, they could see human ships as far as the eye could reach. Thousands of ships with millions of humans. Ships that could save the galaxy in days. But the galaxy thought they were all dead. Sir, Dr. Kim said softly. We could let them fight alone. They made their choice. They forgot us. Maybe they should face the results. Jiho thought about this. Part of him was angry. The galaxy had used humans when they needed fighters, then thrown them away when they wanted peace. But another part of him remembered why humans fought in the first place. Do you know what makes us different from the hegemony? Jiho asked his crew. What, sir? Wook asked. The hegemony fights to control and destroy. We fight to protect and save. That does not change because someone forgot to say thank you. The admiral walked back to his command chair. Start preparing the fleet. Send messages to all ship captains. Tell them to get ready. Are we going to help them? Dr. Kim asked. We are going to remind them, Jiho said. The galaxy forgot what we can do. The hegemony forgot why they should fear us. It is time to teach them both. On the screen, more worlds fell to the hegemony attack. Billions of beings were dying or becoming slaves. The galaxy's peace was breaking apart like glass. How long until we can move? Jiho asked. All ships can be ready in 6 hours. Wook replied. Make it 3, Jiho ordered. Every minute we wait, more innocents die. As the human fleet began to wake up from its long sleep, Admiral Jiho Park looked at the stars. Soon, the galaxy would remember humanity's name. Soon, they would understand that some things were worth fighting for. The peaceful century was over. The time for reminding had begun. The hegemony moved through space like a disease. Their black ships filled the sky around peaceful worlds. Within 2 weeks, half the outer rim belonged to them again. The galaxy's small defense fleets were like toys against real war machines. On the occupied world of Kepler Prime, General Thaxmore stood before a group of alien leaders. The hegemony general was tall and covered in dark armor. His red eyes glowed with hate. Behind him, his soldiers held weapons pointed at the crowd. Where are your human pets now? Thaxmore asked. His voice was like metal scraping metal. You told stories about them for years, said they were great warriors, said they saved you before. But when you needed them most, they ran away like cowards. The alien leaders said nothing. They were too scared to speak. Some of them had heard the old stories about humans. But those were just stories, weren't they? Humans had disappeared so long ago. Maybe they really were all dead. Only the strong should rule, Thaxmore continued. We tried to teach you this before. You did not learn. So now we will teach you again. Far above the planet, hidden in space, where no one could see her, Commander Yuna Choi watched through special equipment. She was human. Her ship was invisible to all sensors. She had been watching the hegemony for days, learning about their new weapons and plans. "Did you get all of that?" she asked her team. "Yes, Commander," replied Jinro. He was the best pilot in the human fleet. "Their shields are different now, stronger, but not strong enough." Yuna nodded. She pressed a button on her communicator. "Admiral Park, this is Shadow Team. We have all the information we need." Back on the Eternal Dawn, Admiral Jiho Park received the message. Around him, his officers were busy preparing for battle. Dr. Mira Kim showed him reports about the hegemony's new technology. "They have improved," she said, "but they still think like they did 100 years ago. They use brute force and fear. They have not learned to adapt like we have." Engineer Tae Shin walked up to them. He was young but very smart. In his hands he held a helmet that glowed with soft light. "The new battle suits are ready, Admiral. They can fix themselves if damaged. They make our soldiers faster and stronger, and they can work in any environment." "Show me," Jiho said. Tae put the helmet on a test dummy. The suit grew around the dummy like it was alive, metal and cloth mixed together to cover every part. The nanomachines in the suit can rebuild damaged parts in seconds. If a soldier gets hurt, the suit can give medical help right away. Dr. Kim smiled. 100 years of research and development. We did not waste our time hiding. Jiho looked at his officers. These humans were not the same as their grandparents who had left the galaxy. They were better trained, better equipped, and better organized. But most importantly, they still remembered why they fought. "The galaxy thinks we abandoned them," Jiho said. "They think we were cowards who ran when peace came. Today, we show them the truth. We show them that humans do not abandon people who need help." The communication officer looked up from his station. "Sir, we are receiving surrender demands from the hegemony. They are asking for all remaining free worlds to give up now." "And the response from the Galactic Council?" They are considering it, sir. They say fighting will only cause more death." Jiho was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who was about to prove a point. "Send a message to Captain Wook Lee," he ordered. "Tell him it is time for the first lesson." Captain Wook Lee received his orders on the bridge of his ship, the Soul's Vengeance. His ship was not the biggest in the human fleet, but it was fast and deadly. Around him, his crew made final preparations. "Are we really going to fight an entire hegemony fleet with just one ship?" asked his weapons officer. "We are not just fighting them," Wook replied. "We are teaching them, and we are reminding the galaxy what humans can do." The Soul's Vengeance moved toward the hegemony's fortress system. It was a place where they kept their biggest ships and strongest weapons. No one had ever attacked it successfully. As the human ship approached, hegemony sensors detected it. Alarms rang on every enemy ship. How had one small vessel gotten so close without being seen? "Unknown ship," came a message from the hegemony fleet. "You are entering restricted space. Turn around or be destroyed." Wook opened a communication channel that reached every ship in the system. His voice was calm and clear. "This is Captain Wook Lee of the human ship Soul's Vengeance. I bring a message from humanity. We have returned. The hegemony will surrender now, or be reminded why you once feared us." On the hegemony command ship, officers laughed. One small ship against their entire fleet? It was impossible. There had to be a trick. "Destroy that ship," ordered the hegemony admiral. "Show them what happens to fools." 50 hegemony warships turned their weapons toward the Soul's Vengeance. Energy beams and missiles filled space. Enough firepower to destroy a small moon struck the human vessel. But the Soul's Vengeance did not explode. The energy weapons hit its shield and simply bounced away. The missiles exploded harmlessly against an invisible barrier. The human ship kept moving forward like nothing had happened. "Impossible," whispered the hegemony admiral. Now it was the human ship's turn to attack. But instead of using many weapons, it fired just one beam. The beam passed through the enemy shields like they were not there. It struck the biggest hegemony ship and cut it perfectly in half. "How?" the admiral screamed. "Our shields should stop everything." Wook's voice came over the communication again. "Your shields work against the weapons, you know. We have been gone for 100 years. Do you think we spent that time sitting still? The human ship moved between the enemy fleet like a dancer. Every time it fired, another hegemony ship was destroyed. The enemy tried to surround it, but the Soul's vengeance could be in 3 places at once. It used technology that bent space and time. Pilot Jinro led squadrons of human fighters that seemed to appear from nowhere. They flew through enemy ships without breaking the hulls, somehow attacking the crews inside while leaving the vessels intact. Our weapons cannot touch them, reported a hegemony officer. But they can destroy us easily. Admiral, what are your orders? The hegemony admiral had no orders. He had never seen anything like this. His entire fleet was being destroyed by enemies that fought like ghosts. In 30 minutes it was over. Every hegemony warship was either destroyed or floating dead in space. The Soul's vengeance had not received a single scratch. Wook opened communications one more time. This time, his message went to every world in the galaxy. Every species that could receive signals heard his words. This is humanity, he said. We did not abandon you. We left to become better so we could protect you better. The hegemony has returned, but they are not the strongest force in this galaxy. We are, and we fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. On worlds across the galaxy, beings who had never heard the word human now learned it. On other worlds, old beings who remembered the stories told them again to their grandchildren. On New Harmony, Ambassador Kress watched the battle footage with his mouth open. That is impossible, he said. One ship cannot defeat an entire fleet. His aide, a young Veltari named Zess, looked at the old records. Sir, I found something. These archives are very old, but they mention humans. They say humans once saved our species from extinction. Kress took the records and read them. His face went pale. These files are classified. How did you find them? They were hidden in the old military database, Zess replied. Sir, if these records are true, then humans did not just help in the war against the hegemony. They led it. They did most of the fighting. They saved billions of lives. On the Soul's vengeance, Captain Wook Lee received a message from Admiral Park. Well done, Captain. Phase 1 is complete. What is Phase 2? Wook asked. Now we wait, Jiho replied. We let the galaxy remember who we are, and we let the hegemony remember why they should have stayed hidden. Across space the message was spreading. Humanity had returned. The species that had been forgotten for 100 years was back. And they were stronger than ever. The galaxy's forgetfulness was about to be cured. News of the impossible battle spread across the galaxy faster than light. On every world, beings watched the footage again and again. One human ship had destroyed an entire hegemony fleet. It seemed like magic, but it was real. On New Harmony, the Galactic Council held an emergency meeting. Representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered in the Great Hall. They were scared and confused. Their peaceful galaxy was falling apart, and they did not know what to do. Ambassador Kress stood at the center podium. His blue skin had lost its glow. Behind him, screens showed maps of worlds that had fallen to the hegemony. Red marks covered half the galaxy. We must respond to this human message, said Representative Morn from the Crystal Worlds. They claim they can help us. How do we know they are really human? Asked another representative. Humans died out long ago. This might be a hegemony trick. Did you see the battle? Morn replied. The hegemony cannot fake that kind of power. Kress raised his hand for silence. The question is not if they are human. The question is what they want from us. Why did they leave us for so long? Outside the council building, crowds of different aliens gathered. Some held signs welcoming humanity back. Others carried signs that said humans were dangerous. The galaxy was split between hope and fear. In space above New Harmony, a human ship appeared. It was bigger than any ship the council members had ever seen. It looked like a small moon, but it moved with grace and purpose. This was Admiral Jiho Park's flagship, the Eternal Dawn. They are requesting permission to attend the council meeting, reported the council's communication officer. Let them come, Kress decided. We need answers. Admiral Park transported down to the council chamber with Dr. Mira Kim and 2 other officers. The humans looked different from how the old records described them. They were taller, stronger, and their eyes seemed to glow with inner light. Their clothes were made of materials that seemed to shift and change. When Jiho walked into the chamber, it became completely quiet. Hundreds of alien beings stared at him. Some had never seen a human before. Others remembered stories their grandparents had told. "Thank you for allowing us to speak," Jiho said. His voice was calm but powerful. It reached every corner of the huge room without any technology to help it. Cress stepped forward. "You claim to be human, but humans have been gone for 100 years. Where have you been?" "We left," Jiho replied simply. "You asked us to." "We never asked you to leave," Cress said. Dr. Kim stepped forward. In her hand was a device that projected images into the air. "These are recordings from 100 years ago," she said. The images showed council meetings from long ago. In the recordings, younger versions of some species leaders spoke angrily about humans. "They are too violent," said one. "They solve everything with weapons," said another. "We do not need warriors in our peaceful galaxy," said a third. "You said we were dangerous," Dr. Kim continued. "You said the galaxy would be better without us. You wrote new history books that removed our part in saving you from the hegemony. You made museums that said unknown heroes won your battles." The council chamber was very quiet. Many of the representatives looked embarrassed. They had not expected humans to have proof of what really happened. "But that does not explain where you have been," Cress said. "We went to grow," Jiho replied, "to become better, to develop technology and wisdom that would make us worthy of protecting the galaxy. We hoped that when we returned, you would welcome us as partners, not masters." "And now?" Cress asked. "Now the hegemony has returned," Jiho said. "And you are not ready for them. Your armies are small and weak. Your weapons are old. You have forgotten how to fight because you thought talking would always work." Representative Morn stood up. "Can you really stop them? Can you save us like the old stories say you did before?" Dr. Kim smiled sadly. "We can do much more than we could before. 100 years of advancement has made us very strong, but the real question is, do you want us to save you?" "Of course we do," said several representatives at once. "Do you?" Jiho asked quietly. "Because saving you means war. It means violence. It means some beings will die so that others can live. Are you ready to accept that humans must sometimes kill to protect?" The council chamber became noisy as representatives talked among themselves. Some said yes immediately, others were not sure. They had lived in peace for so long that the idea of war scared them. While the council argued, alarms began ringing. The communication officer's face turned pale. "Emergency message from the outer systems. The hegemony is attacking the Kepler worlds. They have a new weapon." On the main screen, they watched in horror as a hegemony ship fired a beam at a planet. The planet's surface burned, but the planet itself was not destroyed. Instead, all life on it simply stopped. Every plant, every animal, every person became still and silent. "A life drain weapon," Dr. Kim said quietly. "It does not destroy worlds. It makes them empty so the hegemony can use them later." "How many people were on that world?" asked Representative Morn. 2 billion, replied the communication officer. The council chamber became completely silent. 2 billion lives gone in an instant. Not killed, but drained of all life force. The hegemony had found a way to commit perfect genocide. "Can your weapons stop that?" Cress asked Jiho. "Yes," Jiho replied, "but not from here. We would need to get close to their ships, and that means war." "Then we are at war," said Representative Morn. "We cannot let them do that to more worlds." "Wait," said another representative. "If we fight back, they might use that weapon on all our worlds. Maybe we should surrender and try to make a deal." Jiho looked at the representative with sad eyes. "You cannot make deals with beings who drain life for fun. The hegemony does not want to rule you. They want to replace you." Dr. Kim activated her device again. It showed images of what the hegemony did to worlds they conquered long ago. Empty cities where nothing lived. Factories that processed the remains of entire species. Museums filled with the bones of beings who had once lived free. "This is what surrender gets you," she said. "The hegemony keeps some species alive as slaves for a while, but eventually they kill everyone who is not hegemony." The council voted. It was close, but they decided to accept human help. However, they had conditions. Humans could fight the hegemony, but they had to follow galactic law. They could not harm innocent beings. They had to try to capture enemies instead of killing them when possible. Jiho listened to all the conditions. When the representatives finished, he nodded. "We accept your terms, but understand this. War is not clean. Good beings will die. Innocent people will suffer. And sometimes the only way to save a life is to take one." "We understand," Cress said. "Do you?" Jiho asked. "Because when this is over, you will probably ask us to leave again. You will say we are too dangerous for your peaceful galaxy. You will write new history books that make yourselves the heroes. Are you prepared for that pattern to repeat?" Cress had no answer. Neither did the other representatives. They needed human help now, but they could not promise what would happen after. "It does not matter," Jiho said. "We will help you because it is right, not because you deserve it, not because you will be grateful, but because protecting innocent life is what humans do." As the council meeting ended, General Hanaseo was already leading human forces to liberate the first occupied worlds. Her soldiers moved like shadows, appearing behind enemy lines without warning. Their weapons could stun enemies unconscious instead of killing them. Their armor let them survive in any environment. On the world of Kef Minor, the hegemony had enslaved the Yemi local population. They forced them to build new weapons and ships. The aliens worked 18 hours a day with little food or rest. General Seo's forces arrived during the night. They moved so quietly that even the sensors could not detect them. One by one, they captured the hegemony guards without making a sound. By morning, every enemy soldier was unconscious and tied up. When the local aliens woke up, they found their guards gone and strange beings in advanced armor standing guard. The humans had left, food and medical supplies. A message in the local language said, "You are free. Humanity has returned to protect you." But the most amazing part came when the hegemony sent ships to retake the world. They expected to fight humans like they had fought them 100 years ago. Instead, they found something completely new. Human ships that could be in several places at the same time. Weapons that passed through shields and armor but only stunned the crews inside. Soldiers who could walk through solid walls and appear inside enemy ships. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, every hegemony ship was captured intact. Every enemy soldier was alive but unconscious. Not a single human had been injured and no human had taken a life. General Seo sent a message to both the Galactic Council and the Hegemony Command. "This is the new human way of war. We fight to preserve life, not to take it. We are stronger than we were before, and we are wiser too." The galaxy watched in amazement. These humans were nothing like the warriors from the old stories. They were something new, something better, but the hegemony was not impressed. If humans wanted to play games with mercy, that was their mistake. The hegemony would show them what real war looked like. The galaxy began to change. News of human victories spread to every world. On planets that had been attacked, people told stories of human soldiers who appeared like angels to save them. On free worlds, young beings asked their elders to tell the old stories about humans again. Commander Bo Kim stood in a training camp on the world of Terran's Hope. Around him, aliens from dozens of species practiced with human weapons and learned human fighting methods. They were volunteers who wanted to help free their worlds. "Remember," Bo said to a group of young Veltari soldiers, "we do not fight to destroy. We fight to protect. Every enemy soldier you face was someone's child. Try to capture them alive when you can." A young Veltari named Kess raised her hand. "But Commander, they killed my family. They destroyed my home world. Why should I show them mercy?" Bo looked at her with kind eyes. "Because if we become like them, then they have already won. The moment we start enjoying killing, we stop being the good ones in this war. Lieutenant Unpark flew overhead in her fighter ship. She led a squadron of mixed-species pilots. In her group were humans, Veltari, crystal beings, and even a few reformed hegemony defectors who had learned to hate what their people had become. Blue. Squadron, this is Blue Leader, Yoon said over the radio. Remember, we are not just fighting for our own worlds, we are fighting for the idea that different species can work together. Her squadron flew in perfect formation. The ships looked different from each other, but they moved like one mind. This was the new galactic fleet, not humans fighting for aliens, but all species fighting together. On the occupied world of New Kepler, Master Chief Ju Han trained local resistance fighters. He was an older human with scars from many battles, but his voice was gentle when he taught. Your enemy thinks you are weak because you love peace, he told a group of crystal beings whose world had been invaded. They are wrong. Peace is not weakness. Peace is something worth fighting for. He showed them how to use human weapons that could stun instead of kill. He taught them how to move without being seen. Most importantly, he taught them that fighting did not mean becoming monsters. A human fights not because they love war, Ju said. A human fights because they love peace enough to die for it. These words spread across the galaxy. They became a saying that all species repeated. Even beings who had never met a human knew these words. But while the galaxy was learning to fight again, the hegemony was getting desperate and angry. They had expected an easy victory. Instead, they were losing worlds every day. Their soldiers were being captured instead of killed. Their ships were being taken intact and used against them. Supreme Commander Vextar was the leader of all hegemony forces. He was old and cruel, with scars covering his dark skin. He had led the hegemony during their first war against the galaxy. He had retreated to dark space when the humans defeated him before. This is not how war works, he screamed at his officers. The enemy should fear us, they should beg for mercy. Instead, they fight harder every day. Sir, said one of his generals, these humans are different from before. They are much stronger, but they also fight differently. They try not to kill our soldiers. Then they are weak, Vextar said, and we will use that weakness against them. The Supreme Commander had a plan. If humans cared so much about life, he would give them a choice. He would threaten to destroy entire star systems unless humanity surrendered. Not just the people on the worlds, the stars themselves. He would make suns explode and kill everything in those systems. Send a message to the human leaders, he ordered. Tell them they have one day to surrender completely. If they do not, we will destroy the Zeta Reticuli system. 7 billion innocent beings will die, and their blood will be on human hands. The message reached Admiral Park on the Eternal Dawn. He read it with his senior officers. The Zeta Reticuli system had 7 worlds full of peaceful beings who had never hurt anyone. Can they really do it? Dr. Kim asked. Can they make a star explode? Yes, replied Captain Daewon, commander of the human battlecruiser Incheon Rising. We have detected their Starkiller device. It is crude but effective. Then we surrender, said one young officer. We cannot let 7 billion innocents die. If we surrender, Dr. Kim said quietly, then eventually every being in the galaxy dies. The hegemony will not stop with victory. They will drain the life from every world until nothing is left but them. Admiral Park was quiet for a long time. Outside the windows of his ship, he could see the human fleet. Thousands of vessels with technology that could reshape reality itself. Ships that could move faster than light. Weapons that could crack worlds. Shields that could stop anything. Sir? Captain Wan asked. What are your orders? Send a message to all human ships, Park said. Tell them to prepare for full combat. Operations. No more holding back. No more trying to capture enemies alive. Are we surrendering? The young officer asked. No, Park replied. We are showing them what happens when you threaten innocent lives to get at us. The deadline came. The hegemony waited for a surrender message from humanity. Instead, they received something else. Every human ship in the galaxy disappeared. Not destroyed, just gone. 1 second they were there, and the next second space was empty where they had been. "Where did they go?" Supreme Commander Vextar asked his officers. "We do not know, sir. Our sensors show nothing." "Then activate the Star Killer," Vextar ordered. "Let them watch as we destroy 7 billion lives because of their pride." The massive hegemony weapon powered up. It was the size of a small moon, with energy collectors that could gather power from dark space itself. When it fired, it would send a beam that would make the Zeta Reticuli star collapse and explode. But as the weapon charged, something impossible happened. The Incheon Rising appeared directly in front of the Star Killer. The human ship was tiny, compared to the weapon, like a bird flying in front of a mountain. "Destroy that ship!" Vextar screamed. The Star Killer fired. The beam that could kill suns struck the human vessel directly. But instead of destroying the ship, something else happened. The beam stopped. All that energy, enough to crack a star, just stopped moving when it hit the human ship's shields. Then slowly the energy began moving backward. The ship was absorbing the Star Killer's power and turning it around. The weapon that was meant to destroy 7 billion lives was being fed back into itself. Captain Daewon's calm voice reached every ship in the hegemony fleet. "You wanted to see our power. You wanted to know why the galaxy once trembled when we passed. Now you understand the difference between humanity at peace and humanity at war." The Star Killer exploded, but not from the human ship's weapons. It destroyed itself when its own power was reflected back at it. The explosion was so bright it could be seen from 3 star systems away. But that was just the beginning. All around, the hegemony fleet human ships began appearing. Not dozens, not hundreds, but thousands. Ships the size of cities. Ships that bent space around them. Ships with weapons that humans had never used before. "How many ships do they have?" asked a hegemony officer. "Too many to count," came the reply. Fleet Admiral Su Li spoke from the bridge of humanity's greatest vessel, the Soul Eternal. Her voice reached every ship in both fleets and every world that could receive signals. "People of the galaxy," she said, "you have seen what humanity can do when we hold back, when we try to capture instead of kill, when we show mercy to those who show none to others. Now you will see what we can do when innocent lives are threatened." What happened next was not a battle. It was a demonstration. Human ships moved through the hegemony fleet like ghosts. They appeared inside enemy vessels, without breaking the hulls. They disabled weapons without harming crews. They took control of enemy ships while the original crews watched helplessly. But some hegemony ships tried to run toward inhabited worlds, planning to destroy them out of spite. These ships learned what human anger looked like. They simply ceased to exist. One moment they were there. The next moment there was nothing but empty space. "We tried to show you a better way," Admiral Park's voice echoed across the galaxy. "We tried to prove that strength and mercy could work together. But when you threaten innocent lives to hurt us, you learn why the old hegemony feared humanity. So much they hid in dark space for 100 years. In 6 hours it was over. Every hegemony ship was either captured or destroyed. Every hegemony base was under human control. The Supreme Commander himself was unconscious in a human prison cell, alive but powerless. But the most important change was not military. Across the galaxy, species that had been afraid began remembering how to be brave. Worlds that had surrendered to the hegemony rose up in rebellion. The galaxy was remembering that freedom was worth fighting for. Dr. Hai Jung established field hospitals on every world that had been attacked. Her medical team saved not just human lives, but millions of aliens who had been hurt in the fighting. They even treated captured hegemony soldiers who were wounded. "Why do you help them?" asked a young alien doctor. "They would have killed us all." "Because that is what humans do," Dr. Young replied. "We heal, we protect, we save lives, even the lives of our enemies. That is what makes us different from them." The galaxy had seen humanity's power. Now they were seeing humanity's heart. The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. Across the galaxy, worlds that had been damaged by the hegemony needed help to rebuild. Species that had forgotten how to trust each other needed to learn cooperation again. and humanity faced the hardest question of all. What came next? Fleet Admiral Su Li stood in the rebuilt council chambers on New Harmony. The building had been damaged during a hegemony attack, but human and alien workers had fixed it together. Now it was stronger than before, with materials that could survive almost anything. Around the great table sat representatives from every species in the galaxy. But this time it was different. Humans sat among them as equals, not as forgotten heroes or feared outsiders. The hegemony threat is ended, Admiral Li announced. Their fleet is captured. Their leaders are in prison. Their weapons are destroyed. But we must decide what happens to their worlds and people. Representative Morn from the Crystal Worlds raised her hand. What does humanity suggest? Dr. Hai Jung stood to answer. We suggest rehabilitation, not revenge. The hegemony people were taught from birth that conquering others was right. We can teach them a better way, just like we taught your species to work together. Some representatives were not happy with this idea. They killed billions of our people, said one. They tried to drain the life from entire worlds. Why should they deserve mercy? Because, said Captain Mincho from the Soul Eternal, if we kill them all, then we become the thing we fought against. The galaxy will be safe, but it will also be smaller and sadder. Admiral Park spoke from his seat at the table. 100 years ago, when we first defeated the hegemony, some of your species wanted to destroy them completely. We said no then, and we say no now. Life is precious, even the lives of our enemies. The debate went on for hours. Some species wanted revenge, others wanted justice. A few wanted to forget the whole war and go back to their peaceful lives. Finally, young Lieutenant Yoon Park asked to speak. She was now Admiral Park, promoted after her brave leadership during the war. All the old barriers between species had broken down. Humans and aliens served together in the same fleets now. My grandparents told me stories about the first war with the hegemony, she said. They said the hardest part was not defeating the enemy. The hardest part was staying good while fighting evil. Today we face the same choice. She activated a holographic display that showed hegemony worlds. These planets have children on them, young beings who were taught that war was the only way to live. If we show them mercy, if we teach them peace, then maybe their children will grow up to be our friends instead of our enemies. The vote was close, but mercy won. The hegemony worlds would be occupied by joint human-alien peacekeeping forces. The hegemony people would be taught new ways to live. Their children would go to schools that taught cooperation instead of conquest. This will take generations, warned Ambassador Kress. It will be expensive and difficult. Some of them will never change. Then we will be patient, Admiral Park replied. Humans are very good at being patient when it matters. Over the following months, the galaxy changed in ways no one had expected. Human technology, which had been developed in secret for 100 years, was shared freely with all species. Diseases that had plagued aliens for centuries were cured in days. Planets that had been barren became green and alive again. Commander Bo Kim established the Galactic Defense Academy, where young beings from all species learned to protect others. The Academy's motto was carved in stone above its entrance in 100 languages. Strength to protect, wisdom to preserve, courage to sacrifice. The first graduating class included humans, Veltari, crystal beings, and even some young hegemony aliens who had chosen to reject their people's old ways. They swore an oath together. We will guard the innocent, defend the weak, and remember that true strength comes from protecting others. Master Chief Ju Han, now retired from active duty, became a teacher at the academy. His classes were always full because everyone wanted to hear his stories, but his most important lesson was always the same. Power without wisdom is just destruction, he would tell his students. Wisdom without courage is just knowledge. But when you put power, wisdom, and courage together for the right reasons, you can change the galaxy. Dr. Sung Moon opened medical colleges on dozens of worlds. Alien doctors learned human healing techniques, while human doctors learned alien knowledge about biology and medicine. Together, they made discoveries that neither species could have made alone. Healing is the opposite of war, Dr. Moon often said. War takes life away. Healing gives it back. Both require skill and courage, but only one makes the universe better. On the memorial world of remembrance, where the galaxy honored those who had died in both wars against the hegemony, a new monument was built. It was designed by humans and aliens working together. The monument had no words on it, just images of beings from all species helping each other. At the dedication ceremony, Admiral Park gave a speech that was broadcast to every world in the galaxy. "For 100 years, the galaxy forgot about humanity," he said. "You forgot our sacrifices, our victories, and our friendship. Some of you even forgot we existed at all. We could have been angry about this. We could have refused to help when you needed us again." He paused and looked at the crowd. Millions of beings from hundreds of species had come to hear him speak. "But we learned something important during our time away," he continued. "The value of a good deed is not in being remembered for it. The value is in the good that it does. We did not save the galaxy so you would build statues of us. We saved it because it was worth saving." A young Veltari child in the crowd raised her hand. "Will humans leave again?" she asked in a small voice. Admiral Park smiled. "No, little one. We will not leave again. We are part of this galaxy, just like you are. We will stay and help build something better than what we had before." "What if we forget you again?" the child asked. "Then we will remind you gently," he replied. "But I do not think you will forget. The galaxy has grown wiser in the past year." The ceremony ended with something that had never happened before in galactic history. Representatives from every species, including reformed hegemony worlds, signed the Unity Accord. It was not a treaty or a trade agreement. It was a promise that all species would work together to protect innocent life and preserve freedom. Years passed. The galaxy became a place of wonder and cooperation. Human ships carried alien scientists to explore new worlds. Alien vessels brought human doctors to heal the sick. Mixed crews of all species pushed the boundaries of space, always looking for new life to protect and new friends to make. Admiral Yoon Park, now an old woman, stood on the bridge of her ship, the New Harmony. Her crew included her own granddaughter, a half-human, half-Veltari girl named Sue Kim Park. The mixing of species had become common and celebrated. "Grandmother," young Sue asked, "tell me again about the time when the galaxy forgot humans." Yoon smiled and put her arm around her granddaughter. "It was a time when beings thought that peace meant not having to fight for anything. They learned that real peace means being ready to fight for what matters, but only when you have to. And humans taught them that?" "Humans and aliens taught each other," Yoon corrected. "We learned that being strong alone is not as good as being strong together. We learned that protecting others makes you stronger than protecting only yourself." The ship's communication officer, a crystal being named Brightshard, looked up from her station. "Admiral, we are receiving a distress signal from the edge of our galaxy. An unknown species is asking for help. Their message says they are being attacked by something called the Shadow Empire." Admiral Park looked at her mixed species crew. Humans, Veltari, crystal beings, even a few reformed hegemony descendants who had become some of the galaxy's best peacekeepers. They were all ready to help, just like their parents and grandparents had taught them. "Set course for the signal's origin," she ordered. "Maximum speed. It sounds like someone needs the galaxy's help." As the New Harmony jumped to hyperspace, followed by hundreds of other ships with mixed crews, Admiral Park thought about how much things had changed. The galaxy no longer forgot its heroes. More importantly, the galaxy no longer needed heroes, because everyone had learned to be heroic. In the ship's school section, children from a dozen species learned together. Their teacher, an old human named Professor Yoon, was telling them about the ancient days when species fought each other instead of working together. "That sounds silly," said a young crystal child. "Why would anyone want to fight alone when fighting? Together is so much better." "Because they forgot something important," Professor Yoon replied. "They forgot that the strongest thing in the universe is not a weapon or a shield. The strongest thing is friendship between different kinds of people who choose to care about each other." "Will we ever forget that?" asked a human child. "I do not think so," the professor said, "because now we have something we did not have before. We have all of you. Children who grew up seeing different species work together. Children who cannot imagine a galaxy where we do not help each other. The ship flew on through space, carrying its cargo of hope toward whatever danger awaited. Behind them, the galaxy continued its work of growing, learning, and protecting.